Hello everyone, welcome to the Coda lectures. This is Herman and today I'll be teaching you something about the code apps. So the code apps are basically the decentralized applications that we build over the Coda network. So when I say the Coda network, I mean the Coda blockchain platform. Actually, uh, Coda is a blockchain platform which utilizes the concepts of blockchain on the back end and provides you with a platform on which you can build a decentralized application. And that application essentially will have all the features of a blockchain. So you don't have to, build something from the scratch up, from the ground up. You just utilize all the features provided to you and started developing your own applications. So to start with Coda, I won't get into much details about what Coda is and how it works. So I believe in doing, learning by doing. So let's just start with the lectures. So this is the first in the series of a code app development. So initially, I want an IntelliJ as your text editor to be set up. I'll just open it up. So IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate Edition, you need to have this. There's a free edition for 1 month, I guess. So you can download it from their website. A quick Google search will give you the software. So while it start, let's search Coda template Kotlin. The first result will give you a GitHub repository of a Coda template. So what this is, actually Coda has given us some boilerplate solutions for certain scenarios. There are a lot of Coda samples which you can use to kickstart your development of your required code app. This is a basic code app template which will give you, and it will be helpful in the lectures to give you an overview of how Coda is utilized or how to develop on Coda. So I have, please mark that Coda is available in two languages only, Java and Kotlin. So I am going to teach how to develop code apps in Kotlin. So I'll just copy this. IntelliJ is also open. On my desktop, I'll right click, git bash share, get clone, and so now let's open the IntelliJ and we'll click on open or import. So I open my project. Now one key point to remember is once you have loaded the project into your IntelliJ, it will give you an option of import Gradle project, just like this one in the lower right corner at the cursor. When you do import Gradle project, what it essentially does is Coda uses the Gradle tool to manage its dependencies. So when you do a Gradle import, all the dependencies of Coda are downloaded automatically. See, they are being downloaded. So while this process completes, let's have a look at the code. So there are multiple folders and multiple files. I know it seems a quick scarier, but you don't have to be scared about this because by the end of all the lectures, you will know your way around in every folder. Okay. So basically our main focus is on these three folders. Clients, I'll just minimize this. Clients, contracts, and workflows. These are the three folders you'll be interacting with on a regular basis, and this is where all your work will be done. Other than this, there is a build.gradle file in every folder and your main build.gradle file. You can see these build.gradle files, they include the configurations for your projects. The workflows, contracts, and clients is a project in its own. It's a minimized project which is included to make a bigger project. You can think about it like this, but they are different concepts. So if you open the main build.gradle, you will find that there are certain settings, repositories, dependencies, and all other various kind of information that is required to start your Coda template. If you scroll down, you will find a section nodes. These nodes are defined on the Coda blockchain, which represent a user on the Coda network. These nodes essentially are like, you can say, Coda is a bank. If you visit a bank, you need an account to trade on that bank. You use the security of the bank and the features of the bank to save your money, save your data, and trade, right? So these nodes are your identification. Party B is a party on Coda node. Similarly, there is a party A. The main thing to recognize here is there is always a notary node. So notary basically is a service which performs the various tasks. For example, if in a case of a bank, you are a client, I am party A and I register myself on the client on the bank. So the notary is responsible for the further tasks. Everything I do on the Coda node goes through the notary. It validates the transactions, it validates my authority to transact, and other various functions. So just I'll give you a short tip also. If you search Coda documentation, the first link you'll find is the official documentation of Coda. So please remember to click on the Coda function. Coda Enterprise is a paid version, and it's better to start with Coda first because Coda Enterprise it's kind of an advanced also. So in Coda documentation, you will find absolutely everything that you need to learn about Coda. So they have provided marvelous documentation. You just have to click about, for example, if I start here on the development part, so getting started developing code apps. It provides you every information step by step. Okay. So IntelliJ is the preferred editor of Coda also. So that's why we are using it. More importantly, it's very easy to organize your project on IntelliJ. The development is very easy too. Okay, so I'll quickly just cancel all this. So this was your build.gradle file, the main one. Similarly, in the build.gradle of clients, you will find dependencies and something called as a task. We will be talking about task in the second lecture where we will learn how to develop an API. Okay. So I presume that you have some programming experience, programming background. Otherwise, you can search these terms on the internet and learn about them. So let's start with your basic structure of your code app. So what Coda allowed us to do is when you open this contract folder, you will find two folders at the end, contracts and states. If you open the state folder, you will find a template state. I open it. So a state in Coda is a representation of data, or you can say representation of an asset on the blockchain. A state holds all the data about a particular asset that you have to transfer over the blockchain or maybe even save over the blockchain. When you open the template state, we find here belongs to contract. If you are familiar with the blockchain terms, you have definitely heard about the word smart contracts. So this is what contract here means. If you open the contract folder, you can say belongs to contract and template contract is written inside. This annotation is used to define that the state which we are making is following some rules which are defined in a contract, and the name of the contract is template contract. If you just press and hold control key and click on this, you can directly go to the template contract file. In this file, we have mentioned some functions which will you can say which will be followed or which will be adhered to when we are making any transaction. These functions are the rules that are followed by the transaction. We will look into the each and every detail in further lectures, but I am just giving you an overview of what the structure of a code app is. Okay, so this template state, example state, holds data, participants, and is of contract state type. Now the state type, the contract state, is very important. You can write linear state here also, and it will quickly give you an error. I just import it and this gives an error. Actually, linear state is the most important concept you need to learn. The linear state allows the formation of a linear ID. To represent a state on Coda, we need a linear ID. I'll just implement as constructor parameters. Yeah. So a variable linear ID is very essential. This linear ID will represent the current state as well as it will act as a traceable ID to all the earlier states. Okay, so we will get into this in the later lectures too. I'll just quickly close the contracts. Now we move to the workflows. So right, like till now it seems quite difficult, but believe me, the easiest part is developing the state and the contract. The most difficult part comes when there is the development of workflows. In the source folder, in the main folder, there is a flows.kt file. Now there are a few annotations written. We will be giving focus on them in the later lectures where we will look individually. With just a quick overview, a flow class will always have a call function and maybe some in some cases a responder. So what a call function is, everything that you want to perform. For example, let's say you want to print, this is the call function. So I click caption. Okay, I just save it. So when you want, similarly, if you want to transact, if you want to pass, let's say some money from one node to another node on Coda. By node, I mean one user to another user on Coda. So this will all happen in the contract. To give you a basic understanding, let's take a scenario. You go to a bank, you register yourself as a client, and now you can have the authority to transact with other client in the same bank. Now, after a few days, you have a need of some $1,000. So you decide to sell your laptop. What you do is You register your laptop to the bank. The bank adds the laptop as an asset which belongs to you with a current value of $1,000. Then you find a some person, let's say person B, and you sell this laptop to that person through the bank. So what basically happens is the ownership of the laptop will change from you to person B, and $1,000 will be credited to your account from person B's account. In terms of Coda, you and the person B are node A and node B. Now node A registered a state that will be the laptop. The laptop will be registered as a state on the Coda network, which will be a predefined state containing all the essential variables and the value of the laptop. So when you sell this laptop to node B, the state will change the ownership to node B, and the node B will send some money to your account. All this process of transaction of the laptop will happen in the call function. Okay, so the flow will represent the process of transaction and the state will represent the asset. Now the last folder is clients. When you open the clients folder, you will find a web server folder. When you open it, there's a folder controller. So this controller is basically used to make REST APIs, which will be hit in the Postman for development purposes. But actually they will be hit if you want to look into the actual use of REST APIs on a larger scale in live applications, then it's a whole another story. So right now we will just see how we can use Postman to hit these APIs. And by Postman, I mean this application which is used to test REST APIs, right? Okay. So this will be like the overview. For more understanding, you can definitely go to the Coda documentation provided. The official documentation is the only thing you need. Please remember this step. Don't waste your time on finding other resources. The documentation has everything. At the start, it may seem a little bit too much, but once you get the hang of it, it will be very easy to learn from the documentation. So there are many other folders which may get your focus, like the node RPC connection or the server.kt file. But right now you need to focus on only the parts that I have told you, because these files are a little bit advanced. Once you get the hang of developing code apps, then you can look into these files and do some more changes. So as you can see, I have done not a lot of changes into the file. So I just downloaded it from GitHub, cloned it, and imported the Gradle project. Now we will see how to run this code app. This is a template code app. It will run. So I'll open the terminal. There are basically four commands that you need to remember, which will be very frequently used. So in Windows, it is Gradle W build. In Linux or Mac, it is /Gradle W. But in Windows, it is just Gradle W and then build. This will take a few seconds. What's happening is when you do the build command, The Gradle creates all the folders, you can say, or the configurations that are mentioned in the configuration files, and develops a skeleton of the code app. So when you hit the build folder, this Gradle folder will be formed. See, a build folder where you will find the information regarding all the resources in clients also, in contracts, and in workflows. Everywhere a build folder will be formed, and it will contain the information regarding the nodes or other components of the Coda. It takes 2 or 3 minutes to complete the build. Yeah. So after the build is complete, the next command is deploy nodes. So you can see before entering this command, this build folder has four folders: Kotlin, libs, resources, and temp. Okay. So when I do deploy nodes, I'm just waiting for another folder to be formed. Then I will explain what deploy nodes is doing. Yeah. So after deploy nodes, this nodes folder is also formed inside your build folder. So what this does is when you deploy nodes, it takes all the information regarding the nodes, all the RPC settings. You can search about RPC settings on your node also, and it forms the basic files of the nodes. So the Nokri, the party A and the party B that I mentioned in the build file, so they all have a separate folder. And if you open up any folder, actually it's still developing, so you will have different folders for different information. There's the log folder where all your logs will be saved, and a code apps folder. So our build is complete and deploy nodes is also complete. So the next command will be to run our nodes, or you can say to run our code app. So I just change my directory to build slash nodes. So build slash nodes. In this node folder, there is a file run nodes. This is an executable file. This file will compile all the information that is included in the node folder and the build folder and deploy our nodes. So if I type run nodes and press enter, you will see three terminals opening up on the screen. I'll just reduce their size so that all of them are visible. So you can see that all the folders, all the terminals are displaying some content. This is showing that, so this is just a humorous line the Coda team entered. So you will find it on every node. Like something funny they always add, and it's very amusing, so to say. Okay, you can read these lines in the meantime because the coda notes take up some time to process all the information and give you a full-fledged node. Yeah, so just a little bit of information. This gives you the RPC connection address, RPC admin connection address. So about RPC, you can, I told you, as you can read on the internet to gain a more deeper understanding. Okay, so when you count these three arrows there, when you encounter them, so this is when the your node is completely running. So this node is still pending, so we will wait for this also. You can see the node name here. This is the Nokri node. This is the party B node, and this must be the party A node. Okay, we're just waiting for the Nokri. So I've minimized the other nodes and just kept party A on the front. Okay, so now suppose you want to start a flow. So we have a flow created in our workflows folder. It's flows.kt, right? It takes no parameters and just prints a statement. So if I go to our party A, let's just check if the Nukri has run. Okay, it's not. So in such cases, when your node is not running, well, the Nukri started, but I'll complete the sentence anyway. In some cases, your nodes will not start. It happens often. Why that happens is because there is a cache in your task manager. For example, if I close these nodes and run again, they probably won't run because the cache won't be cleared. So you have to open your task manager and end the Java tasks that are running. So if I end these tasks, only then my nodes will function properly when they are not working. Okay. So I will we were on the party A node. I just write flow start and the name of the flow. So it's named initiator. So I'll just write initiator. So this is the call function starting and done. So this is the print statement that we included in our flow. So this is the most simplest way to run a flow to check or to make a transaction on the node or to perform any function on the node. So your basic code app is complete, and now you have the basic information how to run a node and how to run a flow on the node. So I know things might seem a lot tough, like you don't know what's a flow, you don't know what's a state or what's a contract, and you're being hit with all these terms. So obviously it will take some time to understand these terms, and it will definitely take a lot of effort to give you the experience of easy product development. But as you know, blockchain is a vast world and there are vast opportunities. So I suggest you to have full commitment to this lecture series, and that you do your own set of experiments and your research so that you gain more insight about these topics. I'll just close these notes. Okay. So if you go to the Coda documentation, so there is a cheat sheet. This cheat sheet will give you a lot of another terms, will throw a lot of another terms that you don't want to get into right now. But for example, the annotations like initiating flow that we saw in our IntelliJ and the startable by, so you will get information about these annotations. Obviously, I will explain these annotations to you in further lectures, but it will be good if you have the required theoretical understanding first. And another thing is, you can search Coda key concepts. So this opens a tab in the documentation. So I will suggest you go through the key concepts. Everything is given here. Everything, literally, that you need to know before your initial development. And if you see on the left side here, you can click on the individual tabs and get detailed information on everything. For example, when I talked about states, see, states represent on ledger facts, and each node has a vault where it stores an relevant state. So I obviously cannot cover all the topics about Coda because it's a vast blockchain platform. So it will be better if you search about these things along with your development journey. And let me just assure you, Coda is one of the most prominent blockchain platforms out there. If you make a quick search of an NIST approval of blockchain, or you can say maybe Forbes blockchain for government. So on the top stories, you will find that 2 days ago there was a report on Forbes. Forbes magazine is the most trusted magazine all over the world. So in Forbes, it is mentioned that out of the four prominent blockchain platforms, that is Coda, Hyperledger, Ethereum, and Multichain, R3 Coda was the only one which met the NIST standards, which makes R3 Coda the first blockchain platform to be implemented in federal government projects. Now, other blockchain platforms are also being implemented, but R3 Coda is now officially the blockchain platform which has been accepted by the government because it uses an SHA-256 cryptographic algorithm, which is the highest level and approved by the NIST. NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So obviously Coda is one of the most prominent platforms, and jobs in Coda will also be on the rise in the coming future. So I suggest you give your full commitment and attention to this lectures, and we shall have a very good output at the end. Thank you.